Alright everyone, this is a video of the settings that I use on the XP Deus, and I'm going to do this in a couple of parts, so the video may cut in and out in sections. But the first thing I'm going to go over is what I use most. So you're not going to hear any noise because I don't have it connected to the coils right now. I just want to show you these settings. So most of the time I use relic mode. So this is under the current Deus 3.2. This is program number 6, and I use relic. So, but what I do as far as relic, I do make some modifications to this. And what I do is I go into the menu, and I don't change anything but the reactivity. So I will change the reactivity. I'll leave iron volume at 3, and I'll change the reactivity to either 2 or 3. Because most sites that I hunt in have a lot of iron, so I will change that to 2 or 3. And that's the reset speed between targets. So, and then the next thing I'll do is I'll hit expert here, and I will make sure that's at -1. If you're on 3, then that's in -1. And if you're on 2, which unfortunately you got to go all the way back around the menus to get back to reactivity. And if you're in 2, when you check expert, you will be at 2. So I change this to -1 if I'm in, no matter what I'm in, I change it to -1. It gives me more depth. Now, what I will do is if I'm hunting around other detectorists, I will change the frequency. So I would do a frequency shift, and you can see it's in 7.8. So I will change that up to 11 or to 11.7 or to 17.7. But what I've noticed is it doesn't matter whether I'm in 17.7, in the 11.7, or in the 7.8. I can still find the same exact targets. I still get the same signals. So it doesn't really matter to me on that program whether I change that or not. And that's what I do. That's my settings I use most of the time. Now I pay a lot of attention to the sound and the tones that it makes. And then on this, it's set in 4 tones, and that's the factory setting in relic mode. And I like the 4 tones versus the full tones. Full tones will give you a bunch of different tones for different types of metals and things like that. For me, most of the time I'm digging it. Most of the time if it's iron, I'm digging it. Sometimes when I get tired, I don't dig all the iron, and that's why I leave the iron volume on. And a lot of times I can tell big iron from smaller iron, and I'll dig the big iron and not the small nails and things like that. Alright, so that's it for the settings that I use most of the time. Now I'll show you 2 custom programs that I have. And mostly I'm showing these custom programs because I'm getting ready to upgrade to the 4.0. And when I do that, I want to be able to reprogram these programs. So I'll show you that in the second part of the video. Alright, one thing I didn't show you as far as ground balance is concerned. If you ground balance the Deus and you get a ground balance fail, which is what I get most of the time, that means there's very little mineralization in the ground, and it can't ground balance to it because there's nothing to ground balance to. So I get that a lot because there's not a lot of mineralization. But what I do is to give you a manual readout of the of reading the ground and what the ground balance should be. And most of the time in my area, I will manually ground balance that down to whatever that reading is. So mostly in my area, I get an 87. So I'll ground balance that down to an 87. So in this program, this is what I call PD. This is a program that's actually one that's used in the UK to find small hammered coins. I believe that's the one this is. But if you look at the menu, the way this program is set up, so we got audio in 4, we've got notch at 0000, we've got discrimination at 0, we got sensitivity at 90, we got frequency at 17.7, we got iron volume at 0, which I still like iron volume up, but you might get a little more depth if you leave it at 0. I'm not quite sure on that. And then you get reactivity at 0. And again, if you're not hunting a lot of iron, In a lot of iron infested areas, you can leave that at 0. And then we've got audio at, well, that's where we started. So if we go into these expert menus for audio, it's at 1. And then under notch expert is nothing to show, nothing's really changed on that. Discrimination, full tones, this is real chattery program, and that's probably why it's under full tones. And then under sensitivity and expert, it's at 3. And under frequency and expert, it just gives you the full kilohertz. So nothing to change there. Iron volume, again 0, nothing to change on expert. Reactivity, expert, it is set at 0. Again, I like that at -1. Sometimes even in this program I'll change that to -1. And then that's it for that program. So the next program that I have on here, I call it PD2. Again, this is another program that's supposed to go deep. And this may be very similar to that first program. So let's go in. So audio is set at 4 again. Expert is at 1. I think that's a little different from the first time. And then under notch, notch is at 00-25 on this one, and expert, again you can see up to 25 on there. There's nothing really to change, it just shows you more detail. I guess you could change it a little bit, but nothing's changed under that. Discrimination is set at 1. Under expert, it's under 3 tones instead of full tones. And sensitivity is cranked up to 99. I think this is the one that's real chattery, but they're both pretty chattery programs. And again, this was in 17.7 kilohertz. And iron volume is at 0. And on this one, reactivity is at 3, and it's under -1 under the expert menu, which is what comes up automatically under 3. And then we're back around where we started. And those are the 2 programs that I use. But like I said, I use relic mode most of the time, and I showed you those settings. So hopefully that'll help some of you out a little bit. And those are the settings that I use. Alright, I'll see you at my next hunt. And hopefully by then I'll have a 4.0 on.